In this video, we are going to take a look at the top 4 decks from one of the first and biggest tournaments featuring the eagerly awaited Pokemon Standard Format rotation due to take place on 31st of March in TPCI regions. This past weekend, whilst we were all tuned in to watching Azul win the Oceania International, there was a regional tournament in Hong Kong featuring over 400 players. Let's take a look at their meta share. If you want to support the channel, you can use code Tablemon to get 5% off at Potan Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 20% off for your superfoods at Amaranthi. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. This video is sponsored by the Pokemon TCG deck building website PokemonCard.io. Here is the meta share graphic that the tournament provided, where we can see that Giratina VSTAR is the most popular deck, holding 30% of the meta share. So if you were expecting the metagame to be more diverse and be less dominated by a single deck, as we currently have with Lugia VSTAR usually taking up 30% of the metagame, well, apparently that's still going to remain true in post-rotation, just with a different dominant deck. Now in second place we have Miraidon EX with Regieleki VMAX at 15% of the metagame, the only EX really to feature big time in the tournament. Then we also have 13% Lost Box variants. I'm sure that includes some Zamazenta decks, Charizard decks, and whatnot. There can be so much variety. Then we have 9% for Mew VMAX. That deck loses very little in the rotation, so it's no surprise that Mew VMAX will still be quite good and popular. And then next up at 5% we have Lugia VSTAR, the card that everyone likes to hate right now, and it seems like it does lose a ton of power by losing all the special energies in Capture Energy, Aurora Energy, and Powerful Energy, and now we're going to see it being limited to pairing up with single strike Pokemon or rapid strike Pokemon to really get use out of those Arceus. Now afterwards we also have Arceus VSTAR with Giratina VSTAR at 5%, and then lower in the bracket we have 3% Gardevoir EX with Mewtwo Union, an interesting combination right there. Then other Arceus decks at 3%, and finally other Gardevoir EX decks at 3%, and other decks that did not feature rank, that are perhaps not established archetypes or just didn't have enough of a meta share to really make the graphic, was a 14%. So pretty interesting to see the distribution. Of course, this is sort of expected. The EXs that have been revealed so far have been a little on the underwhelming side. It reminds us of the original VMAXs such as Lapras, Snorlax, where they were really not super powerful cards. They didn't see any immediate play, but as more tournaments and more sets come out, then these cards start to feature more and more, and of course newer EXs released will have to overpower the first ones released, so I'm sure eventually we'll get to a point where the EXs have overpowered all the V-Stars and VMAXs. Now, taking a look at the top 16 results though of the tournament, we see that Mew VMAX ended up winning the whole thing. And as I mentioned earlier, it's no surprise Mew VMAX lost very little in rotation, has really good counters to its counter Drapion V with Path to a Peak, and it remains a very powerful threat. Now in second place we had Giratina VSTAR, no surprise it made it all the way through. Reminds me of OCIC, which had 30% Lugia VSTAR metagame, and then in the top 4 we had Lugia VSTAR in second place. Now I have Giratina with 30% meta share and Giratina VSTAR in second place. And then third and fourth features Lugia VSTAR decks, 2 different versions, one featuring Tyranitar V, the single strike card, and the other showcasing Umbreon VMAX and single strike Urshifu VMAX. So 2 new interesting ways to play Lugia VSTAR, and we'll be taking a look at the top 4 lists in just a second. Now moving down the line, in the top 16 we see Lost Box decks, we see a dedicated Rapid Strike deck featuring both Urshifu and Inteleon. We have more Giratinas, more Mews, and that single Arceus Urshifu deck. That would be interesting to take a look, but unfortunately I do not have that list with me. But let's take a look at the first place list. In first place, we had Mew VMAX, this powerful archetype that has been dominant since it released in Fusion Strike set, continues to do really well, and the fact that there wasn't any big dark type Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet means Mew VMAX needs to deal with the same counters, aka Drapion and Path to a Peak, which itself plays, and Drapion V, of course, is shut down by Path to a Peak. Now, new inclusions to the deck are Nest Ball replacing Quick Ball and Arven. This new supporter allows you to search your deck for an item card and a tool card. This is only a one-off, but it allows you to directly search for something like Lost Vacuum, a Heavy Ball, the Feather Ball, an Ultra Ball, and even the Forest Seal Stone, which can then become any card you need. And in terms of tool cards, you also play the Choice Spell to increase your damage output. So Arven, a nice way to just guarantee 2 damage modifiers or anything else that you might need, such as double turbo by using the tool card search for Forest Seal Stone and using your V-Star to search for the right energy, or the Stadium to counter Drapion. You never know, yeah, but a very versatile, cool looking card. And then of course the deck does play 2 Judges, 2 Boss's Orders, and Roxanne for its supporter lineup, relying 100% on Genesect's ability to pull through for it with no other real draw, but that's usually going to be enough with all the Pokemon search you have and the Chromomatics as well. Coming in second place, we have Giratina VSTAR, this long forgotten V-Star that currently is saying no play because there's better options for Lost Box decks such as Rayquaza, such as Amazenta. Even Dragonite V is having a priority over Giratina VSTAR. But once Big Parasol rotates and Scoop Up Net rotates, Giratina VSTAR seems to now be the attacker of choice in Lost Box decks. And in this deck, we do feature a couple of new cards from Scarlet and Violet, Hawlucha and Beach Court. Now, Hawlucha has the ability Flying Entry, where when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may put 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So we did lose Galarian Zigzagoon in rotation, but now we get Hawlucha, allowing you to place 2 damage counters instead of just 1, which is very nice, but of course you only get to do it once the whole game. So if you have the bad luck of starting Hawlucha, you won't be able to access that ability at all throughout the game. And then we also have the new Stadium Beach Court, which reduces the retreat cost of each player's basic Pokemon by 1. Of course, that's not a Scoop Up Net replacement, but it is a way to help you do a bunch of flower selectings during your turn, allowing you to promote multiple Comphase with switches, switch cards, or escape ropes, and be able to get more cards in the Lost Zone to activate Mirage Gate and activate Giratina VSTAR's attack. Now, outside of that, we have pretty standard looking deck with the Cold Resist, the Cramorant, the Sableye, the Drapion V as a Mew counter, but perhaps given how Mew continues to beat decks that play only 1 Drapion, there might be merit to playing 2 copies of the card in the future. Another interesting feature of this particular deck is the copy of Thornton, allowing you to have a board full of single price Pokemon and then using Thornton to create a Giratina VSTAR out of nowhere. So pretty cool looking deck. The Clara is another new inclusion, I guess, since we do lose Ordinary Rod. That's the only way to recover Pokemon that we have right now outside of I forgot the name, the item that recovers 90 HP or less Pokemon from the discard pile, which obviously can't recover Lumineon, can't recover Giratina, can't recover Greninja, and can't recover Drapion. So pretty cool looking deck, and this will probably be what most Giratina VSTAR decks look like moving forward in rotation. In third place, we have this very interesting and cool looking Lugia VSTAR deck. I know people are fed up of Lugia VSTAR, but clearly its power has decreased. It can no longer play these huge amounts of cool looking attackers and variety with the Aurora energies and the powerful energies. Now it is reduced to playing with either Single Strike or Rapid Strike, it seems. And now the pairing, the most successful pairing seems to be with Tyranitar, which can hit for a lot of damage thanks to Single Strike energies, increasing the damage output of the deck. Now, this deck does not feature a single card from Scarlet and Violet other than a Nest Ball, Everything else seems to not have made the cut, and the deck now features Ultra Wall, trekking shoes, and a bunch of other ways to play during your turn, with Sharon Scare, with Roxanne, even Judge, as we don't have Marnie anymore. Double copies of Professor Burnett in this list, which is pretty interesting, and then 3 copies of Tower of Darkness to help you with the draw, and of course counter Path to the Peak. Now the energy lineup doesn't feature any Capture, Powerful, or Aurora since they have rotated. Now we have Gift Energy, Single Strike Energy, Double Turbo Energy, V-Guard Energy, and Lucky Energy. So pretty cool looking deck. I do expect Lugia to continue to make an appearance in the metagame. Archeops is probably the best energy accelerator that has ever been printed in the game. So it's no surprise that it will continue to see play, and we might get new special energies that make Archeops and Lugia VSTAR even stronger in the future. But for now, it seems to have retained some of its strength, but clearly it's a step down from the current dominance that we have seen in our side of the world. And in 4th place, we have another Lugia VSTAR deck, but this time paired with VMAXs, Umbreon VMAX and Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, of course a very powerful attacker. Now, surprisingly, this list doesn't even feature Nest Ball, so this list does not feature a single new card from Scarlet and Violet, only new arts for Professor's Research and Judge, I guess, but outside of that, not a single card has made the cut. Now, clearly this deck is very different from the current standard looking Lugia VSTAR decks, but the extra ability of Umbreon VMAX to drag Pokemon in the active spot is definitely a welcome addition, and of course being Dark type allows you to deal with Mew VMAX very effectively, and Single Strike Urshifu of course has the really powerful attack that can be powered up with Single Strike energies to just demolish whatever is in front. And with the Urn, you can recycle those energies to continually reutilize your attacks by putting the energy back into a deck and using Archeops to repower up. So very cool looking deck. I do expect this to be the less popular version of the deck, mostly because VMAXs are a much bigger liability than Tyranitar and Sojourner in the other version of the deck. Obviously the typing is what matters. Having dark types and fighting types is important right now. Maybe even some lightning type could fit in there, but so far these are the most successful decks of the tournaments that we had so far. Now I do expect to get more information and more tournament results in the coming days, and of course March 31st is the due date where we get the rotation finally, and all of this will be very, very important. And so being prepared with this previous information is always good. And so that will be the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think is in the future for us with rotation? Do you think any decks underperformed? Do we think Miraidon EX will still have a chance to shine thanks to the lightning support that it has with Regieleki VMAX and the sort of max elixir item that I forgot its name? Do we think Gardevoir EX will eventually make a splash in the metagame, or will those decks be resigned to take a backseat and EXs will have to delay their showing in the big stage and their acquiring of trophies and medals until more powerful ones are released? Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.